David Regal, and I was sent some questions that I will try to answer to the best of my ability. What is the creative story behind your new color-changing knives? Boy, it sounds like I wrote that question, but I swear to you, I did not. There are many color-changing knives out there. Why did I decide to make my own set? Well, there actually is a story behind this. I, maybe like you, have a set of color-changing knives, more than one set, several sets that I accumulated over the decades. And that's a scary thing to say. And I enjoy the trick, but I always felt, well, I'll give you an example. I had the Scotty York set, which I like, and at the end it would turn red. And I remember the instructions had the performer saying, Swiss Army Red. But here's the thing, it didn't really look like a Swiss Army knife. The knives were very small and kind of squiggly, almost like a letter S. And when it turned red, it looked nothing like a Swiss Army knife. And I'm looking at this thinking, if I'm saying to myself, this looks nothing like a Swiss Army knife, maybe people in the audience, when I'm performing this, are thinking, that actually looks nothing like a Swiss Army knife. So the starting point for my set was end with something that looks like a Swiss Army knife. And to do that necessitated quite a procedure. By that I mean you have to approximate the shape of a Swiss Army knife. So I didn't go to a knife company and say, let me look at all your knives and change the color on them. No, we started at the beginning with specified dimensions, and then the weight, and then the textures, which has been done before. So my knife set, you have, mother of pearl, that changes places with a stag textured black knife. And finally, for the climax, a knife actually changes to the Swiss Army looking knife. Now, why does it look more like a Swiss Army knife? Well, it's wider. It's not like the pencil thin kind of a color changing knife prop. But also, if you look at one of these other knives, there's a bolster on one end. There's a lot of color, more real estate for the effect. And there's rivets along the knife. But when that black knife changes to a Swiss Army looking knife, notice there is no bolster. There are no rivets. It's smooth red like a real Swiss Army knife. And there's a logo. It approximates the look of a Swiss Army knife logo. And when that knife changes, the feeling is it transforms. And the impact of that change is heightened, just a little bit. So after several decades of thinking, I wish I had something that looked more like a Swiss Army knife at the end of my color-changing knife routine, I bit the bullet. And I had these knives manufactured to my own specifications to get just what I wanted in a set of Swiss Army knives. Not Swiss Army knives, color-changing knives. I have to stop saying that. So that's the story behind my color-changing knife set.